بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. So we stopped last week with some of the things that help a person to gain knowledge. And from the things was a dua, to make dua, being sincere, staying away from sins, and other things that were mentioned, reading Quran. So today, inshallah, we continue with the same idea, the same topic, but from a different book. This is by Sheikh Salih Abdul-Aziz Ali Sheikh. He has a book, Ad-Durus Al-Ilmiyya. He has a chapter in the book called Himmat Al-Salaf fi Talab Al-Ilm. The high aspirations or the high goals that the Imams of the past would set for themselves when they were trying to learn, when they wanted to seek knowledge, when they wanted to learn something. How did they carry themselves and how did they approach it? And it's fairly long, but we'll take some pieces just for benefit, inshallah. And in the beginning he starts with a niyyah. He brings a statement of Imam Ahmed rahimahullah. قال الإمام أحمد رحمه الله النية في العلم أن تنوي به رفع الجهل عن نفسك. That a pure intention or righteous intention when a person is trying to learn, since it's Ramadan, inshallah the last 10 nights are approaching, so there's an increase in activity, an increase in worship, an increase in people who are striving to do good. But all actions are in need of an intention, and a righteous intention, a sincere intention for Allah. So he says, the intention when a person is trying to learn something new is that they're seeking to remove the ignorance from themselves. They don't know something, so they want to remove that ignorance from themselves and learn something. وبه تلاحظ أن الرفع الجهل والتوجه إليك. That the removing of, as he says, removing the ignorance off of yourself. And a person wants to remove the ignorance from themselves. They don't know something. That's a form of ignorance. Not knowing is ignorant. It's a form of ignorance. So when a person wants to sit and learn a dua during the last 10 nights of Ramadan, or they want to sit and want to learn what the meaning of the ayat is, or they want to sit and they want to memorize the ayat, they want to finish a surah, the intention is to remove some form of ignorance from themselves. He says, فَإِذَا طَلَبْتَ الْعِلْمِ فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّكَ تَتَعَلَّمْ لِتَرْفَعْ الْجَهْلِ عَنْ نَفْسِكَ. So if a person is trying to learn something, whatever they set out to learn, then they should know that they're learning in order to remove some type of ignorance from themselves. And what type of ignorance is that? الجهل بأي شيء. الجهل بأعظم ثلاث أمور يسأل عنها العبد في قبره. That a person is looking to remove ignorance of the three greatest things that every person will be asked about in their grave. There are three things that every person will be asked about in their grave. So, ignorance of these three things, as it comes in the hadith, is problematic Yawm al-Qiyamah. That a person is not able to answer the questions that the angels ask them in the grave. He says, فَإِنَّ الْمَرْأَ يُسْأَلْ فِي قَبْرِهِ. That a person will be asked in their grave, بَلْ إِنَّ الْمُسْلِمْ وَالْمُسْلِمَ فِي قَبْرِهِ يُسْأَلَانْ عَنْ ثَلَاثٍ. That the Muslim and the Muslim woman, this is not just for the men, will be asked in the grave, Man Rabbuk, wa ma dinuk, wa man nabiyyuk. Who is your Lord, what is your deen, and who is your messenger, who is your prophet? So knowledge of these things is of the utmost importance. And this is the removal of the ignorance so that a person is able to answer these questions in the grave correctly. He says, so the first thing he says, an-niyyah. And then he goes on after that and he speaks about being patient, as-sabr. Being patient when learning, because sometimes things don't go according to plan or according to our own time schedule. So sometimes things may take longer than we initially expected. It might take longer to finish the surah. It might take longer than you expected to finish that dua. Right? You might not finish it till after Ramadan. So he says, يحتاج طالب العلم إلى أمر ثان بعد النية. After the niyyah, every person has to know. If a person is trying to learn something, that he says, أن يعلم أن طريق العلم ليس بالقصير. That if a person is on the path to learn, they have to know that the path of learning is not a short path. طريق العلم طويل جدا. But the path of knowledge is a long path. Things don't happen overnight. It takes time. So when things are drawn out, we'll say, and it takes time, then it takes patience. A person has to be able to be patient enough to stay consistent and to continue day in and day out doing what they're doing. He says, بل هو مع الإنسان منذ أن يبدأ في العلم إلى أن يقضي الله أمرا كان مفعولا بوفاته. That path is from whenever a person begins to want to learn or they start to learn, that path doesn't end until Allah calls them back, until they die. And this takes patience. توطين النفس على الصبر مطلوب. To have self-control and to train yourself to be patient is something that is praiseworthy. It's something that is praiseworthy. And he says patience is from a couple different angles. From one angle, that learning is a form of worship. Learning is a form of worship. A person sits to read. They read the ayat, or they read the hadith, they read the tafsir, or they want to memorize something. It's a form of worship. And every worship needs تحتاج إلى الصبر. Every form of worship, a person has to have patience when doing the worship. Because there could be some things that distract a person from completing the worship. Or the worship could become difficult. Might have seemed to be easy in the beginning, but then the longer they keep doing it, maybe it seems to be more difficult. It might take time. It takes time out of the day. He says, so first, the fact that learning is worship needs, a person has to have patience. He says, secondly, a person has to have patience, الصبر على الثبات على السلوك الطلب العلم. That a person has to have patience in order to stay on the path of learning. Meaning, that a person is consistent. Not starting and stopping. He says there's different things, there's different ways. He mentions a couple things that a person may have to be patient through. He says, هل هو الصبر في حضور الدروس فقط؟ لا. It's not just that a person may go and they may sit in the class. That's one form. That's one form of patience. They have to sit there, they have to listen. The class could be an hour, could be over an hour. The speaker might be good, he might not be good. He might understand what he's hearing, he might not understand what he's hearing. Or, he says the same thing, في ملازمة المشايخ. If he's sitting with the ulama, they different. They're men, they're different. Personalities are different. The way they speak is different. Some are clear, some are not that clear. Some go into a lot of detail, some don't really go into detail. So it takes patience. And even when listening, he said all of these things take patience, but not only these things. He says, بل صبر على ألا يشغله عن العلم ما هو دونه. He says, but if a person is learning, they have to also be patient with things that may distract them from learning. Because all of the previous things, the person's learning. They sitting in class learning. They sitting with their ulama learning, right? But what about things that are outside of knowledge? They have nothing to do with what they're trying to learn, but it's a distraction from them being able to learn, right? He said this is from the greatest things. This is from the greatest obstacles, the greatest things that block a person from gaining knowledge. هذا أعظم ما وجد أنه يعيق العلم. From the greatest things that prevent a person from learning are things that are outside of knowledge. And he says, وهو أنه خاصة في الشباب, especially for the young, for the youth. He says, قد يشغلك عن العلم بالأصحاب. It could be your friends or your companions that keep you away from learning. They could busy you. It could be a companion, a friend of yours, that keeps you busy from being able to complete something that you started out to complete. أو تشغلك عن العلم أمور كثيرة مما تلذ لها النفس. Or it could just be something that a person likes to do, something they enjoy doing, right? And that thing that they enjoy doing, it prevents them, it has nothing to do with knowledge. But that thing they enjoy doing, not that it's haram, it's permissible, something that's permissible. But that thing that they enjoy doing, it consumes them to the point where it prevents them from being able to learn. Being able to learn. He says, so in these cases, a person takes what they need from those things, but don't let it prevent you. Don't let it busy you from learning. Don't let those things that we love busy us totally that we can't sit and we can't learn. He moves on after that to some statements dealing with the next thing, which is al-himmatul aliyah, having high goals. For the person to set high goals and have high aspirations. We say set the bar, raising the bar, setting the bar high, not overburdening oneself, but what do we say? Setting higher goals, not being pleased with or not settling for the least that a person can do. And now he brings a couple narrations from some of the imams that have passed. قال ابن القيم رحمه الله. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he said, ربما أتتني مسألة في العلم وأنا مع أهلي. He said, I might be with my wife, right? And while I'm with my wife and my family, an issue of knowledge comes to my mind, which busies me from my family. Right? أتتني مسألة في العلم وأنا مع أهلي. Something comes to me while I'm with my family. An issue comes up, pops in his brain, pops in his mind. He has to deal with the issue. He has to figure it out. And this is how they were. They were busy with learning. The Salaf were not satisfied, and they were not pleased. It was not okay to be ignorant, to not know your religion. It wasn't something that was praiseworthy that a person didn't know. Some people didn't know, but the imams, they set their goal. Their goals were high. They had high goals, high aspirations for themselves. And the stories that they bring that are recorded show how serious they were. And then he brings a statement of Ibn Rajab, rahimahullah, Al-Hafiz Ibn Rajab, Al-Hanbali, Ibn Rajab, who spent his days and his nights seeking knowledge. And he wrote a bunch of books that are still to this day, used as references. And he says, كانت همته في العلم عالية جدا. He had very high aspirations when he went to learn. He set the goal. His goals for learning was set extremely high, to the point where he delayed getting married. He got married late, like maybe 40, or in his late 30s, or maybe 40. Some of the ulama in the past, like Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, and other Imam al-Nawawi, they never married. They were busy with ilm. They were busy learning. And this is why Allah raised them. Allah raised them to the point now, Imam an-Nawawi's 40 hadith is read all over the world. And Riyadh al-Salihin is read everywhere. He said about Ibn Rajab, he says, فَلَمَّا تَزَوَّجَ أَتَتْهُ امْرَأَةُ أَتَتْهُ امْرَأَةُ مُتَعَطِّرَةٌ مُتَطَيِّبَةٌ. That his wife, when he did get married, his wife came to him. She dressed up for him. And Ibn Rajab describes the story. She dressed up for him, smelling good. وَوَقَفَتْ عَلَى رَأْسِهِ وَهُوَ مُنْكَبْ عَلَى أُرَّاقِهِ وَكُتُبِهِ. He was busy in the books when his wife came to him. When he finally did get married, his wife came to him one time. He was busy in the books. So she stood over top of him. She dressed up real nice, came, stood over top of him. He says, فَرَفَعَ رَأْسَهُ إِلَيْهَا. So he raised his head up and looked at her. And Ibn Rajab said, قَالَتْ نَظَرْتُ إِلَيْهَا فَإِذَا هِيَ كَذَا وَكَذَا. He said, when I looked at her, he described her from the beauty and everything. وَصَفَهَا مِنْ جِهَةِ إِسْتِعْدَادِهَا لَهُ. You know, that she was beautified and she was, you know, إِسْتِعْدَادٍ لَهُ. She was ready, she was waiting for him. إِسْتِعْدَادِهَا لَهُ.
That means waiting?
Yeah, prepare. She prepared herself for him. Okay then. So he said, قال ثم تركت برأسي على أوراقي وأكملت فغضبت امرأتي فذهبت. She said, or he said, after he looked at her, he said that I dropped my head back down into my books and I completed what I was doing. And she got mad and she left. Ibn Rajab. Even with the temptation there, to show, even though everybody has rights, to show the seriousness and the level that they held and the love that they had for learning. The love that they had for learning. Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali, Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali. He has a famous explanation for 40 hadith. There's a couple of them famous. They didn't marry till late, or some of them didn't marry at all. طيب. He says, showing another how serious the Imams were. He says, بعض أهل العلم كان إذا نام لا ينام إلا بجانبه بعض الكتب والمراجع الأساسية ولماذا. He says, some of the ulama, they wouldn't go to sleep except that when they went to sleep that they kept books right next to them. They slept with the books next to them. So that what, لماذا? So if an issue comes up, they can wake up and go right to the book and get into the books, even when they went to sleep. قد يحتاج من يفكر في المسألة تكون بجانبه. Just in case if he needs his books, he wakes up, they're right there. You have to go searching through the house. He wakes up, and the books are right there. And this is how serious they were. He says, المسألة الثالثة. Another thing, and this was mentioned last week also, that a person knows أن يتعلم في علمه أن الأمور لا تأتي شيئا واحدا. That when a person is learning, everything doesn't happen all at once. That the knowledge doesn't come all at one time. He says, وَإِنَّمَا تَأْتِي شَيْئًا فَشَيْئًا. But knowledge comes in stages. Some today, some tomorrow, some the next day, some this year, 3 years, 4 or 5 years. It comes over time. It doesn't come, in one Ramadan. Nobody becomes a scholar through Ramadan in 30 days, come out a scholar. We should come out better, but it takes time. We might set out to do something in Ramadan, and what if we don't finish by the end of Ramadan? Khalas, Ramadan's over. Right? You got to continue after Ramadan until it's complete, until it's totally finished. And he says this is like the famous statement of Imam al-Zuhri, rahimahullah, Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri, that he said, "Man arada ilma jumla dhahaba anhu jumla." That whoever tries to get knowledge all at one time, that knowledge will leave him all at one time. وإنما يطلب العلم على مر الأيام والليالي. But knowledge is gained. The person gains knowledge. The level increases over the passing of days and nights. Slowly but surely, the information builds up. Not all in one sitting. One day after Maghrib, we get everything. One Ramadan, khalas. We reach the level where we get everything, but it takes time. And if you look at the biographies of those ulama, you want to mention some stories here. As the Sheikh said last week in his book, if it wasn't for the isnad, if it wasn't for the chain of narration, if it wasn't for these stories being so widespread in the ummah, they would be unbelievable. It'd be hard to believe them based on what they did. So he says, As-Simatu Rabi'ah. The fourth thing, and this is what most of these stories are on. Al-Himmatu Al-Aliyah. To have high goals, to set high goals for yourself. To set high goals. To raise the bar, like we said. Right? Raising the bar on yourself, not on the next person. Right? I usually read a page. I'm trying to do a page and a half today. I'm going to try to do 2. Pushing yourself and not just being satisfied with, at least I did something. Right? As that's sometimes, the nest, we can be lazy. It can call us to be lazy. At least I read 2 ayats. Right? Instead of reading or pushing yourself to go to the limit. Not that you have to do that every day, but to raise the bar. An individual raises the bar on themselves. And now he's going to mention a couple instances where that happens. كان بعض العلماء يحفظ القاموس المحيط. Some of the ulama would memorize qamus al-muhit, which is a dictionary. Memorize a dictionary. Huh? Like Malcolm X did. In English, right? Yeah, that's big time. They would memorize the dictionary. Front to back. That's not including all the other hadith, Quran, poetry, books, mutun, the dictionary also. So some of the ulama found out. It says, كان بعض العلماء يحفظ القاموس فسئل عنه بعض العلماء الآخرين. So some of the other ulama asked about him. So when they found out that he memorized the dictionary, he says, فقيل, somebody said, إن فلان يحفظ القاموس. They said, Fulan memorized the dictionary, قاموس المحيط. فقال ما شاء الله زادت في مصر نسخة من القاموس. They said, MashaAllah. Now we have an extra copy of the dictionary in our city. It's an extra copy. Huh? You get it? It's not an extra copy written down. It's an extra copy. MashaAllah. زادت في مصر نسخة من القاموس. And this is how they were. They were serious people. Hifz, memory, memorizing. And part of memorizing, as he mentioned last week, was staying away from sins, making dua, having the sincere intention, and all those other things that he mentioned. But with those things, they were able to do things like this, memorize a dictionary. And the other people who heard it, it wasn't like he was the first one to do it. MashaAllah. Zadat. Now we got another copy of the dictionary. Tayyib. He mentions here a narration after he discusses the importance of memorizing, which we're not really that strong on. We're really people just as far as learning as understanding. We're really people of understanding. What do you understand from the text? Because that's how we were taught in school, right? Read the paragraph and answer the questions. Right? Reading comprehension. But outside of America, at least in Saudi, theirs is different. Memorization is big. In other countries in the world, memorization is big. It's big time, it's serious. They memorize for the tests. They memorize for tests. Not to say memorization is everything, but memorization is a big part of knowledge. It's from the basic things and knowledge, starting with the Quran. So he mentioned the importance in some of the hadith about memorization, but he goes into a few stories that we'll read through because they're kind of long, just to make sure we finish them. He says, showing the seriousness and the level and the high aspirations that the Salaf had when it came to learning. He said, if you read through the books of Sirah, and he said this last week in the other book, reading through the books, reading through the biographies of the Imams of the past, it gives you encouragement. It pushes you to want to do more. When you see what they did, and you look at yourself, not looking at anybody else. When you see what they did to get one hadith, and then you look at your phone and you got Bukhari and Muslim downloaded on your phone, and you don't use them, right? And you look at yourself and you look at their stories, you say, SubhanAllah, I got to do something. I got to do something. So he mentions a story here. He says, قال الشعبي رحمه الله. الشعبي أحد أئمة التابعين, one of the imams of the tabi'een. And this here is just to show how serious they were about the memory. He said, يقول لو شئتم أنشدتكم شهرا شعرا شهرا كاملا يعني لو شئتم أنشدتكم شهرا شعرا لا أريد. He said, if you want, right, I can recite to you poetry from memory for 1 month straight, and I won't repeat it. Something new for a month straight. Memorize it. They held this stuff to be serious, right? La. This is a Sha'bi. A Sha'bi. Amr ibn Sharahil, a Sha'bi from the Tabi'een. That's just to show how serious they were about the memory. Memorization is a serious part of learning. And it takes some things. It's not impossible. It's not like they were superhuman people, right? Not like they were superhuman. But they followed the Quran and they followed the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and they were able to establish, or Allah raised them to be able to do these things. He brings the story of Abu Hatim al-Razi, Walid Abdul Rahman, Katib al-Jarh al-Ta'dil. There's a famous the Imams of Jarh al-Ta'dil, one of them Abu Hatim al-Razi. And Abu Hatim al-Razi, he was from one of the Imams of the Salaf also. Well known, Walid Abdul Rahman, his son Abdul Rahman. They wrote books in the science of Jarh al-Ta'dil. Jarh al-Ta'dil, we know Jarh al-Ta'dil, right? Criticizing the narrators or praising the narrators. That's science. But yeah. So Abu Hatim al-Razi rahimahullah قص عن نفسه خبر طالبه للعلم وهو صغير. He told his story about when he went to learn when he was young. This is the story that he told when he was young, when he first set out to learn. قال تركت الري لطلب العلم سنة 213. In the year 213, he left his city to go learn, to go seek hadith, to go gather hadith, to learn hadith. He said, وَرَجَعْتُ إِلَى الرَّيْ. He said, I returned 7 years later. وَعَرِشْرِينَ وَمِيَتَيْن. In 221. He left in 213, came back in 221, a little bit over 7 years. يعني مكث 7 سنين وأشهر. So he left for 7 years. طيب. Most of these trips are done on foot. Unless a person has like a camel or some type of riding animal. He says, ذهبت وخرجت من الري في طلب الحديث. He was going to learn now to seek hadith, to learn hadith, and he mentioned this story. كيف أنه يخرج من بلد إلى بلد ماشيا على الأقدام. How he walked from country to country and city to city, walking. طيب. قال, and this is the important part. He said, وقد أحصيت ما مشيت على قدمي في طلب العلم حتى بلغت 1000 فرسخ. He said, I was keeping count of how far I walked. Abu Hatim al-Razi. He said, I was keeping count of how far I was walking until I reached 1,000 farsakh. 1,000 farsakh is the distance. You're going to break down the distance. He says, فَلَمَّا بَلَغْتُ 1000 farsakh تَرَقْتُ الْإِحْصَى. When I reached 1,000 farsakh, I stopped counting how far he was walking. He kept count of how far he was walking until he reached 1,000 farsakh. He said, when I reached 1,000 farsakh, I stopped counting. طيب, farsakh is, as he says here, al-farsakh 5 كيلومتر. Al-farsakh في 5,000 كيلومتر. 5,000 kilometers walking. Right? مشاها على قدميه في طلب العلم. 5,000 kilometers, 3,000 miles. 3,000 miles, 3,100 تقريبا. 3,100 miles walking from country to country, city to city, seeking hadith. Al-Razi. Sheikh Salih says, Al-An, Sayarat. So when you read that, Imam of hadith, 3,000 miles walking, right? And then he walks back home. طيب. Sheikh Salih says, Al-An, Sayarat. ولا طلب العلم. Now we got cars, and we don't even try to go seek knowledge. توجد طائرات, planes. والعلم ضعيف لا يحرص. And the passion for learning is weak. It's not really there like that. We got cars, we got internet, planes, 3,000 miles walking to gain some hadith. And some trips was for one. Sometimes it's for one hadith. Sometimes the trip is for one hadith. And now we have all of these things which could be Allah. It could be, brother. It could be a proof against the Yawm al-Qiyamah. It could be a proof against the Yawm al-Qiyamah. If we don't know the information that we should know, the basics that we should know, if we don't know the basics that we should know, then the smartphone could be a proof against us. The unlimited data, could be a proof against us if we don't know the basics that is obligatory for each and every person to know. Not that every person has to travel across the world, but every Muslim, there's a certain amount of knowledge that every person is supposed to know. And if we don't know that knowledge with all of the information in front of us, with all of the information and all of the tools and the outlets that we have, everybody is not excused for being ignorant. There's a certain level of person that's excused for being ignorant, but that doesn't go for every person. He mentions another story here about Imam Ahmed. He says, Al-Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, Ahmed bin Hanbal, لما انتهى أمره إلى قوة والوقوف بالسنة ونصرة السنة. He's talking about after Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, when he was punished for defending the Aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah. When the leader of the Muslims at that time held the belief, an innovative belief, that the Quran was created, as the leader said. So the leader at that time, and it was a big fitna, and this, the Mihna of Imam Ahmed, which everybody should read if you haven't read it. You should read the story, the trial of Imam Ahmed, and how he stood up for the Aqeedah, for the belief of the Muslims in his time. And he was tortured, he was prevented from teaching. Imam Ahmed, the Muslim of Imam Ahmed, Imam of Hadith, Imam of Fiqh, the Imam Ahmed, that the ruler wouldn't allow him to teach. Not because he didn't know what he was talking about, because he stood up for the Aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And he didn't conform to what the ruler told him to conform to. As the ruler said the Quran was created, he said, no, the Quran is not created. He stood up for it. Many of the other men during his time, they didn't stand the way Imam Ahmed stood. So Imam Ahmed was tortured, he was beat, he was put in jail. And it's a famous story that's worth reading. Tayyib. When Imam Ahmed, during the time of that fitna, the Wali al-Amr, the leader of the Muslims at that time, told him, La tuhaddith. He said, you can't teach anymore. He stopped him from teaching. Tayyib. The leader of the Muslims, the Imam, told Imam Ahmed, you can't teach. Khalas. Stop teaching. Don't teach in the masjid, all them hadith circles. He prevented them from teaching. Tayyib. He says, وَصَارَ يَذْهَبْ إِلَى الْمَسْجِدِ وَيَرْجَعْ وَلَا يُلَقِّيَ الْعِلْمِ. So what did he start doing? He would just go back and forth, go to the masjid, pray, and go back to his house. He wasn't teaching in the masajid anymore. Imam Ahmed rahimahullah. قال بقي بن مخلد. And this is the story of Baqi ibn Makhlad, صاحب أكبر مسند من مسانيد الحديث. The largest collection of hadith, musnad of hadith, is by Baqi ibn Makhlad. one of the ulama from Spain. أحد علماء الأندلس. طيب, Andalus is Spain. One of the ulama of Spain had the biggest collection of a hadith. He's not an Arab. So that excuse of mine is out the window. I'm not Arab. I don't know. Spain, Portugal. طيب. He says, رحل من الأندلس إلى بغداد ذهب يسأل. He went from Spain and he walked to Iraq, asking for Imam Ahmed. ما يدري عن فتنة خلق القرآن. And he didn't know about the fitna that was going on in Iraq. He didn't know that they stopped Imam Ahmed from teaching.
Who the person again?
Baqi ibn Makhlad.
He's from Spain.
From Spain.
Who got the biggest collection of
There you are.
And he walked from
Spain to Iraq.
looking for
Imam Ahmed. But what he didn't know was that in Iraq, Imam Ahmed, the fitna was going on with the ruler. The ruler wouldn't let him teach. So when he got to Spain, it says, he got to Spain, أين أحمد بن حنبل? أين أبو عبد الله? He's looking for Imam Ahmed. Where's Imam Ahmed? Where's Abu Abdullah? فأخبروه بأنه لا يحدث. So the people told him he's not teaching right now. He's not teaching right now. Spain to Iraq. He gets to Spain, he gets to Iraq, and they tell him, Imam Ahmed's not teaching. And they told him where he was. قال بقي. He says, فَتَرَبْتُ عَلَيْهِ الْبَابِ فِي بَيْتِهِ وَطَلَبْتُهُ فَأَتَانِي. He says, so I went to his house, knocked on his door, asked him, Ahmed, he came to the door. He says, وَقُلْتُ لَهُ أَنَا طَالِبُ الْعِلْمِ أَتَيْتُ مِنَ الْمَغْرِبِ. He said, I'm a student of knowledge, I came to you from Al-Maghrib, the West. Yeah, that's what was understood. Al-Maghrib. He's talking about that area, not specifically. And that's what Imam Ahmed says. قال له Imam Ahmed من أفريقية. You getting married? لا. He said, لا. أبعد. No, I came from farther than Africa. He said, no. He told him, لا أبعد. I came from farther than Africa. You cut off like it's water after that. I came way farther than that. He said, أنا من الأندلس. I'm from Spain. So Imam Ahmed قال مرحبا بك. Welcome. So Imam Ahmed asked him, قال ما تريد? So what do you want? What did you come here for? قال بقي. قال والله ما أتيت إلا أن آخذ علم عنك. I didn't come here except to take knowledge from you. The only reason I came here was to learn from you. From Spain to Iraq, the only reason I came here was to learn from you. والله. فقال له إمام أحمد لعلك سمعت ما علي من أني لا أحدث. He said, maybe you didn't hear but what happened to me, but I'm not teaching right now. قال ولكني أريد الحديث وحدي أو أعطني من العلم. He said, but I came and I want hadith. I want to learn hadith. Give me something. And this story right here shows everybody got to look at yourself and see what are we doing? Why were they the way they are? Why was the Islamic world at the level it was at? And why is the Islamic world at the level it's at now? Call Imam Ahmed. He said, so I want some hadith. I need some knowledge. I came to learn. He said, bishart. With a condition. So he said, whatever condition you put on it. So what he said, I'll teach you with a condition. What's the condition? Whatever condition you want, as long as you teach me. قال ألا تجلس في حلقة من حلقات العلم والحديث. He said, if I teach you, don't sit in any more lessons of hadith. Don't sit in any other classes. What happens if you sit in other classes?
They're going to know that he was teaching.
Hey, they're going to see, that's the one that be going back and forth to Imam Ahmed's house. Imam Ahmed must be teaching. He said, the condition that I teach you is that you don't sit in any more حلقات العلم والحديث حتى لا يعرف أنه يجلس في حلقة العلم. So that the people won't know that he's sitting with Imam Ahmed. That's just the beginning. So he said, whatever you want, طيب. Imam Ahmed told the man, قال إذن إيتني كل يوم على هيئة السائل. come to my house every day, ala hay'at as-sa'id, like a poor person, as if you're a poor person. Come to my house every day like you poor. Wa talib al-ilm, and the person that's seeking knowledge, he's a sa'id, he's asking, he's requesting. He told him, ala hay'at as-sa'id. A hay'at as-sa'id is come like you asking me for something. Come to my door like you're asking me for something every day. Talib al-ilm is asking. The one he's asking for knowledge. So he falls under the hay'at as-sa'id. He's asking for knowledge. Right? He's going to his house every day on the hay'at as-sa'id. He wants knowledge from him. طيب. He says, ثم أطرق الباب فإذا خرجت أعطيتك خبزا ومع الخبز حديث أو أحاديث. He says, he'll come like you ask for something, knock on the door, and when I come out, I'll give you some bread and I'll narrate some hadith to you. طيب? طيب? Clear? طيب. Baqi says, so he put on the imama, the turban. وَلَبِسْتُ اللِّبَاسُ سُؤَالَ الْفُقَرَاءِ, and he put on the clothes of the people in Baghdad at the time, the type of clothing that those people wore, the beggars. He dressed like them. Dressed up like a poor man, like a poor person. Walked from Spain. Get there, the teacher's not teaching. Now you got to dress up like you poor, begging, going to somebody's house every day. It's to get a hadith. To get a hadith. Not to get money, to get a hadith. The Prophet says something. قال كل يوم آتي وأطرق الباب على هيئة السائل وأقول لهم الأجر رعاكم الله. He didn't just dress up like that. He said the statement that the poor people would say in the area. When you go there, knock on the door, there was a statement that they say, that you know that they wanted sadaqah. الأجر رعاكم الله. يعني اطلب الأجر. Try to get the ajr from Allah and give me something. They're asking for sadaqah. Like you go to Mecca, Medina, right outside the haram. You know the people out there, fi sabilillah, fi sabilillah, right? They're out there saying whatever they say, right? That's there. In another country, they got another thing that they say. What they said was that. So he would go there dressed up, he would say the statement that they said. He says, so فَيَأْتِي Imam Ahmed وَيُعْتِينِي بَعْضَ الْخُبْزِ وَمَعَهُ حَدِيث أو أحاديث. So Imam Ahmed would come out. He would come out of the house. He would give him some bread, and he would narrate hadith to him. بقي المخرج. قال فأخذت كثيرا. He says, so I learned a whole lot from Imam Ahmed like this. أخذت كثيرا. This is how I learned from him. He says, فلما مات الخليفة وجاء الذي بعده وكان صاحب صلة يعني به متوكل صار الإمام أحمد يدرس في المسجد. So he continued like this, going back and forth to Imam Ahmed's house every day. He said, but then the Khalifa died, the one who said Imam Ahmed couldn't teach in the masjid, right? He died. And when he died, another Khalifa came, who was a person of the Sunnah, right? And so therefore, he allowed Imam Ahmed to start teaching in the masjid again. طيب. The Khalifa who wouldn't let Imam Ahmed teach, he died.
I was going to say the teacher, the Khalifa that wouldn't let Imam Ahmed teach, was that because he wasn't a person of Sunnah or?
Nah, because the Khalifa wasn't a person of Sunnah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imam Ahmed was on the Sunnah and the Khalifa was promoting the statement of Bid'ah, that the Quran was created.
He believed that. Okay.
Yeah, so now since you, Imam Ahmed, won't say that the Quran is created, stop teaching. You banned from teaching.
Who believes that Quran is created? Murji'ah, right?
Nah, not the Murji'ah, I forgot their names. If it comes to me. طيب. Now I'm thinking about that. La bas. طيب. So the Khalifa died, and the new Khalifa came, who was a person of Sunnah, and he allowed him to teach. قال فكان يدنيني ويخصيني من بين الطلاب. So he said when they were sitting in the masjid, Imam Ahmed used to tell Baqi to come sit close to him. Imam Ahmed would tell Baqi to come sit close to him. And he would point him out. Out of all the students, he would point him out and bring him close to him. وَيَقُولُ هَذَا يَصْدُقُ أَنَّهُ طَالِبُ الْعِلْمِ. He would say, this person here, Baqi, this is a student of knowledge. Somebody like this is a tolerant, and this is the person who wants to learn. He wants to learn. Huh? Walk from Spain. You get to Spain, there's no classes going on. I give you a class, but you got to dress up like you poor, you begging, and come to my house every day. I give you some bread and a hadith. For hadith, he's going to learn hadith. He's not going to pick up, anything from the dunya. Hadith. Shaykh Saajid says, كيف يصبر? How is he patient? هذه السنين الطويلة في هيئة السائل وكل يوم يأتي. He said, for a person, how is a person patient enough to do that for years? He did that for years, learning from Imam Ahmed, dressing up like that, going to the door, saying, Ra'akum Allah, saying a statement. He's giving them khubs, giving them bread, and then narrating to him hadith from his door. For years he did that. Baqi. Baqi ibn Makhlad. He says, يأتي بهذه الصفة لأجل أن يأخذ من الإمام أحمد علم الحديث أو حديثين كل يوم. Just to get one hadith every day or maybe two hadith. Walk from Spain to Iraq. Get there, the teacher's not teaching. But I will teach you. With a condition. What's the condition? You can't sit in any other classes on top of that. Any other classes going on, you can't sit in them classes. You can only come to my door. And when you come here, don't come regular. Come like you're a poor person begging. I'll give you some food, and I'll narrate you some hadith when you come. 1 or 2 hadith. And then you go about your way. Yomi, and every day, for years, he kept that up. Until the Khalifa died, and he let Imam Ahmed come back out to teach. When Imam Ahmed came back out to teach, this is Taliban. This one wants to learn. This is how they were, learning. It wasn't cool. It wasn't cool. It wasn't the cool thing to be ignorant. It wasn't cool not to know the deen. He says, and this hymn, something like this is not, of course, it's not something easy to be able to hold yourself down for years like that. Years. نرحنا من أندلس إلى بغداد لأجل الأمر. For this, لأجل هذا الأمر ليس بسهل. To travel from Spain to Baghdad at that time wasn't something that was easy. It's not like they had planes. They was either walking or on a camel or a horse, something. It wasn't no. That's why when Imam Ahmed heard him, he asked me, you came from Africa? No, I came further than Africa. You cut my trip short if you say I'm from Africa. I came from past Africa. I came from Spain. Ba'id. It wasn't something light. So he says, حتى مرضت ففقدني أبو عبد الله. He said, when I was sick, when he got sick, Imam Ahmed missed him because he stopped coming to the classes. Baqi ibn Makhlad, the student, he got sick. So when he got sick, he stopped attending Imam Ahmed's classes. He couldn't attend the class, he was sick. He says, فسأل عني فقالوا إنه مريض فزارني في الخان. So Imam Ahmed began to ask about him. Where is he? Because he stopped coming. Where is he at? So they told him he's sick and he's in Al-Khan, which is, they say, it's like a funduk, like a hotel where he was staying. So he says when he was in the hotel, وَأَنَا كُنْتُ مُسْتَلْقِيًا سَمِعْتُ جَلَبًا. He said, I heard a knock on the door, ثُمَّ دَخَلَ عَلَيَّ الدَّاخِلِ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْخَانِ. So one of the workers of the hotel came in. Imam Ahmed is not like the Imam. He's the Imam. Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah. He was not like a local Imam. He's like the Imam of the country. He's not like a local. When you say Imam Ahmed, he wasn't like the local Imam of the masjid. He's the Imam in Baghdad. In Iraq, he's the Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah. That's why the leader told him, you can't teach. You hold too much weight. Imam Ahmed was tayyib. So now Imam Ahmed, the Imam of Baghdad, comes to the hotel to visit you. So they came in, And they said, أنت تعرف Abu Abdullah? He said, you know Abu Abdullah? You know Imam Ahmed? أنت من أصحاب أبي Abdullah? You're from his companions, you're from his friends? You know Imam Ahmed? فقلت نعم. He said, yeah. He said, why you didn't tell us the first time you came in? Which is another benefit, that they were humble, humility. They didn't walk around, you know, I'm a student of Fulan, I studied with such and such. They didn't even know he was the student of the biggest imam in the country, or one of the biggest. There was other ulama there that were big, but Imam Ahmed rahimahullah was from the biggest. So he said, Imam Ahmed came in, فدخل أحمد فقال فقدناك I'm sorry. فقدناك فزرناك. He said, we missed you, so we came to visit you. زادك الله ثوابا. Then he made dua for him. Allah increase your reward. This is the man who walked from Spain to Iraq to meet Imam Ahmed, to learn from him. He got sick. Imam Ahmed went to the hotel room to visit him. When he go there to visit him, people surprised. Say, you know Imam Ahmed? So Imam Ahmed comes and he makes dua for him. And then he said, Ya Baqi. And this is al-Muhim. And we'll stop after this. He said, and he took this from a hadith. Imam Ahmed said to him, Ya Baqi. He said, Oh Baqi, إن أيام الصحة لا سقم فيها وإن أيام السقم لا صحة فيها. He said, Baqi, that the days when you're healthy, basically, there is no sickness. In those days when you're sick, there is no health. Basically, what he wanted to say is, those days when you're healthy, that you have to benefit from learning. Because there comes a time when you're sick and then you can't learn. Which is from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He says, وَطُلَّابُ حَوْلَهُ يَكْتُبُونَ مَا يَقُولُ. And there were other students there listening when he was making dua for Baqi, and he was telling them these stuff. There were other students there writing it down, what Imam Ahmed was saying. That, as the hadith says, he says, Sheikh Salih, that you have to learn himmatuhu takunu fi ayyam as-sihha. That when you have your health, this is when you have to set your goals high. This is when you gotta go hard, we say. We gotta go hard when you got your health, because when you don't have your health, you can't go hard. And he says, this is taken from the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, هذا مأخوذ من قول النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام خذ من صحتك لمرضك. Take from your health for your sickness. Benefit now while you're healthy, so that when you're sick and you can't benefit, you have something to stand on. And this is the story of Baqi ibn Makhlad, and there are other stories in here of Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah, Shaykh al-Islam, Ahl ulama Islam, that he would, as he mentioned last class, if somebody came to visit him, just to show how they wouldn't waste any time. If somebody came to visit him, Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah, he wasn't able to be in his books the way he wanted to be in his books. He got to entertain his guests. But while he was entertaining his guests, he would do whatever he could do to prepare for as soon as they left, he can get back to his books. So while they were there talking, he's holding a conversation with them, but at the same time, he's preparing his papers, right? Preparing his ink well, his ink, he's getting everything ready. So when they leave, he gets back to the knowledge. And this is how the Imams were. This is why Islam, if you look at the past, you read the Bible, the biographies, Islam in those times, and the domination in the world. If you look at the people and what they were doing, and this, you gotta look at anybody else, but we look at ourselves in comparison, it's a big difference. And Allah raised them. Allah raised them. And there's a lot of stories in here, but we'll stop there. It's almost time to break. There's a lot of stories in here of the high goals that they had, the books that they wrote, how long it took them to write. We'll stop there, inshallah. But that was the story of Baqi ibn Makhlad. And we'll continue next week. next Thursday at 7:30 with, we'll go back to Kitab al-Siyam. Next week we'll finish with Zakat al-Fitr. How to pay the Zakat al-Fitr, because the Eid, inshallah, will be not this weekend, but maybe next Sunday or Monday. So everybody, well, the people, Zakat al-Fitr is going to be on the table. So we discussed the Zakat al-Fitr that we have to pay at the end of Ramadan next week, inshallah. Questions? Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. These are in the masjid.